皆さんこんにちは and welcome to Shogo's podcast. So this podcast is actually the Omake talk of the video I made I talked about the differences between the emperor and the shogun. So originally, the Omake talk, the extra talk at the end of my videos were in my main channel, right? But recently, because I've been studying a little bit more than I used to in the beginning, I read more books now and such, my videos are getting longer and longer recently. And if I add the Omake talk at the very end of my main videos, the videos tend to get too long. So I thought maybe, I was talking with Harumi, my wife, that maybe we should bring the Omake talk to the sub channel. We have a sub channel and it's a podcast channel. So we thought maybe it'll be better to bring it here. So from now on, we're going to be bringing the Omake talk to the sub channel here. So if you haven't seen the video, the main channel, it's inside the description box. I hope you can take a look. All right. So in today's Omake talk, I wanted to talk about two things. So for the first thing is about the Sei Taishogun I talked about in the video. So in the main video, I explained that shogun, that expresses the top leader of the samurais, were given this name shogun, which is an abbreviation of Sei Taishogun, which means the shogun, the military leader that conquers the emishi, which was the northeast region of Japan in ancient times. But I explained in the video that in 979, the first Sei Taishogun already conquered all of northeast Japan, right? So, but the first shogunate was born in 1185, so that's almost like 200 or more years afterwards, or 300 years afterwards. Why did they still need to conquer the emishi, right? Because they're already conquered. So this was something that I was actually, because I'm Japanese, I grew up in Japan, I took history class in Japan, and I just memorized everything, that I was taught. So I never actually thought about this. I never questioned this before. But I thought, come to think of it, they've already conquered it. Why do they still call them the Sei Taishogun, right? So if you take a look, it's really interesting. If you take a look at the shogunates, they're mostly all located on the side where Tokyo is, so on the east side, actually. So for example, Kamakura is in the eastern region, right? So they have already conquered the emishi, but they still were ruling the east side of Japan. So that's the reason why they were able to continue using the name as Sei Taishogun. So which is really interesting. We say that the capital in Japan is Tokyo now, right? And of course the imperial family lives in Tokyo now, so, technically it's still the capital, but most of history, in Japanese history, we say that Kyoto was the capital, right, for over 1,000 years. But it's really funny that because the shogunate has existed in the eastern side of Japan for most of history, right? But we called Kyoto the capital for over 1,000 years. So it's really interesting. The shogunate was the political leader in the east side of Japan as the Sei Taishogun, right? And on the west side in Kyoto, the imperial family still lived in Kyoto, so we still called the capital Kyoto. So I thought it was really interesting because that means we didn't call the shogunate the capital. We called Kyoto, where the imperial family is, the capital for most of history. So I thought this was something interesting to think about. So it means that the aristocrats, for most of Japanese history, the aristocrats lived on the west side near Kyoto, and the samurai administration was on the east side of Japan for most of the history. So I thought this was something really interesting to keep in mind, to kind of understand where all the locations, everything started and happened and such, So, right, and that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. And second I want to talk about was I really thought that I've been doing a lot of research and studying about religions in Japan recently, and I think I was making this video, I thought the idea of the samurais being afraid of being haunted by ghosts or being grudged by the gods or being haunted by the gods are really interesting. This definitely comes from the idea of Shintoism, right? Because in Shintoism, Japanese people believe that everything, all nature and everything had gods in them. So technically you're you're surrounded by gods, right? So it means that everything is looking at you if you're doing good or doing bad and such. And if you do bad, everything, all the gods around you will punish you, right? So even the barbarics, the warriors, the samurais were afraid of being punished by God. And if you watched the Ghibli series, the Princess Mononoke, it's really interesting, right? So the people tried to modernize, making weapons, polluting the environment, and there comes this god of nature and tries to punish the people. So that's the image the Japanese people had. If you haven't watched Princess Mononoke before, please, I definitely recommend you watching it. It's a great movie. But that's the kind of punishment that the samurais and Japanese people feared. And again, the imperial family, the emperor, was thought of as the direct descendant of the gods and goddesses that created Japan, which means they are the representative of nature and they're representative of the gods. So doing something bad to them means, right, you're going to be punished by nature and everything. So I thought this was something very interesting. And I really wanted to know if you have this culture in your country too. Like, for example, doing something bad, you'll be punished by God. This idea of being punished by God, I think it will differ in each religion and each culture. So if you can let me know about this, I would definitely love to learn about your history and culture too. All right. So just like this, from now on, I'll be talking about the Omake talk and the podcast over here. It's really good for me because when I always take the Omake talk, when I used to take the Omake talk for the main channel, I always had to think, oh no, I'm talking too long. I got to make it shorter, or, maximum about 3 minutes is already long enough at the end of the main channel, right? But if I talk for the podcast channel, I'll be able to talk as much as I can. So I think it'll be a lot better. I'll be able to talk about everything that I had in mind and such. So I hope you can enjoy the Omake talk over here on the podcast from now on too. All right. And by the way, the link to our membership in our main channel is inside the description box as well. Recently, we posted a video where I went to eat my favorite ramen in Kyoto with Kazu, my best friend, and also the team member of Let's Ask Shogo. In the membership, we usually make videos where we take a little bit more relaxed and kind of easygoing videos. And also all the profit we make from the membership will be donated to making Japan better, to the NGOs, and will be donated to these activities, and also to the people who we interview in the Voices from Japan series. So I hope you can check it out. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in my next video. Talk to you in my next video. Yes. All right. Thank you so much.